Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Purpose and Profit. I am joined by Edgar Vargas. Hello, Edgar. How are you today?
Hello, Amanda. Doing pretty good. Super grateful for you to have me on this podcast show. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, I'm really kind of excited to dig in today. And why don't we start with how you got started in real estate?
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey, like all of us, right? When we get into real estate, um, we look back at the market and we're like, man, we should have bought more houses back then when they were cheap. So, that was my wife. She's always been on me since pretty much we got married. She's like, we need to buy some properties, we need to buy rentals. And I was pretty much dedicated to my profession, which is working in the healthcare space. So I was like, no, we're fine. We don't need to get into real estate. I don't want to manage tenants. And several years went by. And then finally, I, uh, I saw a YouTube channel with Pace Morby and Cody Sanchez, and I was following Cody Sanchez a lot back then. And she interviewed him, and I was like, "Oh my God, this guy's like, you know, he's like the way he talks, his storyteller, the way he, just shares how you can get into real estate. Just made it super like." I was like, "Really? We could do that? You could buy, a property through creative finance?" And sure enough, that's how I really. My wife's like, "See, you should have met Pace Morby earlier."
That's funny. All right. Well, that's awesome. And I think that everyone kind of once you kind of orbit Pace's atmosphere, you kind of just get drawn in with all that authenticity.
For
Um,
sure.
so you started in real estate, and then I know right now you do kind of like an array of things, right?
Yeah, primarily focus in the lending space, but we definitely want to be that one-stop shop for any lending. We want to be the solution when it comes to lending, whether it's for a fix and flipper, whether it's a developer, whether somebody's looking for buy and hold properties. We want to be able to provide loan options and even wholesalers, right, when it comes to transactional lending. So we want to be that one-stop shop when somebody needs money. We want to be that resource to be able to guide them. And if we can't help them, we'll definitely point them to the right resources. But I myself, I'm a private money lender, primarily strictly here in Georgia. So that's how I kind of got into the niche of lending. So yeah, anything lending related, definitely want to be a resource.
Yeah, and I think you've educated a lot of people about smart, safe lending. Is that right?
Yeah, I learned from Abraham Gray and Alexis Morgan. Big shout out to them, and I've attended their mastermind and part of my own knucklehead moves as well, being a private money lender. I made some VAT loans, and that actually teaches you a lot too. So, but yeah, we've hosted a Latino private money lending workshop here in Georgia with my partner Joseph Castañeda, and it was amazing. We definitely want to educate more Spanish speaking community members on how to safely lend money. It's super important, and all across, right? There's great ways to make money and put your money to work in real estate, but of course, you have to understand the risk and understand how to properly structure and how to properly vet a deal.
Absolutely. What a tool to be able to help other people so they don't make those same issues.
Yeah.
So what is kind of your big vision? What's your long-term goal on moving forward in this space?
Yeah, I mean, we're both part of Owners Club, and Pace talked a lot about Mount Everest, and being able to have that long vision goal. That is something I've been struggling with, finding clarity around the purpose in real estate. And initially, right, everybody gets into real estate to make money, and of course, right, it's a great avenue to make money. But in order to be sustainable, in order to be here in the real estate space for the long term, you do need, right, that purpose, that why. And I've thought about it, and it always comes back to helping immigrant people, provide housing for immigrants. being able to affordable housing for immigrants, and that's where I'm currently at. Potentially things change, but as of right now, that's where I'm at in my thought process.
I love that. Well, and I think that not just affordable, but like ethical housing. Like I know that, there's been a lot of publicity about people like not doing things so well in that
Mm,
space. And so I think that it's pretty incredible that that's a space that you want to assist. And sometimes, everyone kind of misaligns. Sometimes when we have that Mount Everest or that big purpose, that necessarily needs to be our money making activity, but it doesn't have to be.
yeah.
Like, sometimes when the people and the parties that you want to help, that's just not a lot of profit to be made in that space. So we do other things to make our profit so that we can help with that bigger purpose, I think.
Oh yeah, I think you nailed it, right? Sometimes it's you have to have that passion to be able to go out and be able to provide huge amount of value, but at the same time, all that value you pour in there, that may not return in money, right? You may not be getting that ROI, so you have to make it somewhere else. And that's where, the lending in my end, that's where I'm doing, lending is great, right? Because you're building relationships. I'm building a relationship with amazing lenders that could potentially be partners in these future opportunities in the co-living space. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned the importance too of having the proper housing, right? Making sure that it's right. So I'm more focused in new construction. So it's going to be like 10 bedrooms, 10 baths per floor, and there's going to be 2 floors. I think a few members in our community are already looking at those type of projects, and they're actually in motion already. So getting their, following their footsteps and following their blueprint is going to be super important, huge for me as well.
That's amazing. Are you trying to do that in Georgia?
Yep, here in Atlanta. Yeah, I've been talking to Pat Split, and they actually shared some of their information, which is pretty awesome. I've been talking to a local builder here, and I've ran him the idea. He's all in it, so now we're boots on the ground trying to find land and trying to see how we can make that happen. But it's definitely, in real estate, it's nothing like a microwave, right? It's not going to happen super fast, so it all takes time, building those relationships, building your knowledge as well. So, if you're looking to get into real estate, don't feel like it's going to happen overnight. Pace tells us every time, he's like, how much time do doctors and lawyers and people go to college, right? And spend years and years and years and years to learn their profession. And that is the same, in real estate. So I'm just being patient.
And I think also when you're in real estate, it kind of evolves, right? Like you start in one space, and I bet like now you can do your lending business. Like you have such a knowledge and you have such experience that it doesn't take up as much brain width, so that you can add other things, and systemize those so that you can grow. And I think that sometimes when we're looking at someone like Pace, we see that he has so much going on, and we're like, oh, we
Right.
should do all of this, but you kind of got to build slow.
Yeah, I think that's so important. You're going to get that shiny syndrome logic. He talks about RV parks and whoop, whoa, what RV parks or mobile home parks or multifamily, right? But yeah, it's definitely picking your lane, and whether it's wholesaling, whether it's fix and flipping, whether it's lending, whether it's really going and start the acquiring process, understanding and getting that under your belt, and building that knowledge, building that muscle, and building those relationships too. I think is important, and sometimes we wish we could see those returns quicker, but again, everything takes time, right? So
And sometimes it doesn't happen quickly because we need to gain the skill set, like you need to sit
I
still.
think God just puts you there and challenges you. He's like, nope, I'm not moving you from this place till you accomplish this.
Yes, 100%. I love it. So I have to ask, because you started off like this, but did you end up getting your wife her rentals?
So we were so close on acquiring one when I first started. When I first joined, it was a creative deal, but being too new, I didn't understand like what to look for in the underwriting process. So once we started digging more into it, it was like, yeah, this thing's kind of not going to cash flow. We're going to be losing like $400 a month. It's not worth it. And I was like, yes, it is. We're going to do it. My wife's like, no, I love rentals, but let's not do it right now.
It's always the voice of reason, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely. So we held off on that one. You know, we're still hunting. I know right now it's a great market, so it could potentially happen soon. So
That's awesome. So if someone wants to work with you with lending or help further, maybe they have a land deal or something like that, what is the best way to reach out to you?
yeah, definitely by Instagram. There's my handle at it's Edgar Vargas, or you guys can go to my website. It's edgarspybox.com, edgarspybox.com. And you can submit the information there. But definitely let's connect via Instagram, you know, and see what we got going on and see how we can collaborate.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Edgar, thank you so much for taking the time out to be on my podcast today.
No, this has been fun. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Peace.